Who was the Blackhawks' biggest surprise? Who was their biggest disappointment? Who was the MVP? It's time for Blackhawks Superlatives for the 2024-25 season. Join us next on CHGO Blackhawks. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Happy Thursday. I'm Jay Zawoski. That's Mario Tirabassi.
Hello.
Sarah's here running the show as per usual. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you're also subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, thank you. Follow, subscribe, whatever it calls for there, and take 30 seconds to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. What we're going to do today is have a little fun, stretch the legs a little bit. We're going to do some Blackhawks superlatives as it pertains to the 2024-25 season.
Kind of like awards.
Kind of.
But not strictly.
Correct, because we don't have anything to give anyone.
Here's your award.
You win the Archway cookies. Anyone know that reference? Bozo? No?
Bozo?
No one?
Yeah.
Into the
Bozo.
ether? Okay.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I was on the Bozo show.
Really?
At the Bozo show.
Oh, okay.
Not
I
on the Bozo
was going to
show.
say.
And I was there with my buddy. And the way it used to work was you had to sign up for tickets like the day you were born.
Yeah.
And it takes like 13 years to get them. So me and my 13-year-old friend, being the idiots we are, we're in the Grand March at the end. And my buddy Frank steps on Bozo's heel, like on purpose.
Oh, no.
And Bozo turned around and was like, knock it off. It was terrifying.
Oh.
I was like, oh, my God.
You get Bozo yelling at you. That's
Yeah.
years. That's decades of trauma.
I mean, it was deserved, and it wasn't me.
Oh, sure.
I was just there.
Mhm.
I didn't know he was going to do it.
Is there footage of this somewhere?
I don't think so. I don't think.
Man.
I mean, maybe we VHS the episode, but it's not live. I'm sure they edited it out.
Sure.
But it was cool. I know I saw myself on camera like doing this as the camera panned back and forth.
If you remember the date,
oh,
and if
no
there's
way.
anybody out there listening and watching that
Somebody
works
at WGN
that works at the WGN archives, go find it.
Look
And
for the
we'll
young
look for-
Chris Farley looking child, and you'll find me.
We'll look for young Jay.
Yeah, I don't have any other reference to that aside from Cookie the Clown like warmed up the crowd, made a White Castle fart joke.
Perfect.
And I was hooked.
Yeah.
That's all I needed. All right, let's get to the superlatives here before we lose more viewers and listeners. Let's start with the biggest surprise of the 2024-25 season. I think there's a couple candidates here. One that stands out to me is obviously a 31-goal season from Ryan Donato. That was quite surprising.
Yeah. At the beginning of the season when we were going through the actual math of where will the goals come from, as Norma Kiver posed the question, I think we all thought, Ryan Donato, 15 goals, that sounds about right.
When you take that and run, right?
Yeah, and he doubled it up, and yeah, I mean, I think that was the biggest surprise of the season was Ryan Donato going on that goal scoring tear, for lack of a better term, this year, given where the Blackhawks were at, given where his expectations were, and the way he was used. It wasn't like he was, on a hot streak to start the year.
He was healthy scratched the first game.
Right, yeah.
First couple.
He didn't,
right?
He didn't like go on a big tear to begin the year, and then it was like, oh, he's on the top line all season, and then he's a 30-goal scorer. Like, he was all over the lineup, first line, fourth line, everywhere in between. Power play, penalty. Like, he literally was used everywhere, and found ways to be effective everywhere, which makes him pretty valuable. And a topic of, what to do as a free agent and everything and what his value is going to be. But yeah, he was the biggest surprise for sure this season.
I think another nominee would be Frank Nazar. And I don't think it's surprising that he was as good as he was, but I think it was surprising how consistent he became, where night after night after night, for the most part, there were a few lulls in there. He was one of the best Blackhawks on the ice and one of the most dependable and reliable guys at all ends.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me with Nazar is the consistency that we saw, but I would say that came probably halfway through his time up here, which, I mean, again, that's still pretty darn good for a guy who was getting his first extended stay in the NHL, and you know, we thought maybe he's up here for a little bit. But he played his way into being a regular. Yeah, definitely worthy of being in the conversation. I'm also going to throw in Ilya Mikheyev in there as well, because I don't think we had, high expectations for him. It was also kind of like hard to kind of gauge like what is he going to be, because he had, he was coming into Chicago 2 seasons removed, I believe it was, from a 20-goal season in Toronto, where I think he put up like 40 points in like 50 games, something like that. Like, just a really solid year, and then kind of like fell out of that touch in Vancouver. So you didn't really know exactly what you're going to get, and the speed was evident. And then he starts scoring goals up into the the 20-goal range, and I think his work on the penalty kill was way above maybe the expectation. So I'd throw him in there. I'd probably, if I was going top 3. I'd say Donato is my number 1, Mikheyev is my number 2, and yeah, I'd probably put Frank Nazar's second half specifically the second half as the number 3.
Are we allowed to put moments in this, or are we just sticking with players?
We could do moments.
Because I'm going to throw in the Seth Jones trade.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Kyle Davidson was able to get it done with basically one destination to trade him to.
Right.
And also you get a first-round pick and Spencer Knight for him. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone saw that coming. I think when it became evident Seth Jones was going to be traded, it was, you're probably going to have to eat half of it, and you might have to actually give something up to get rid of him.
Right.
And all right, like, he wants to go, so you kind of have to swallow that pill. Good thing you have all the draft assets you have, and then turns out you flat out won the trade, and you only had to retain $2.5 million for the remainder of his contract. Yeah. Like that. That to me is highway robbery. And look, it might work for Florida. Florida looked really good, the other day, mm-hmm. and he might be just what they needed: some defensive depth, some offensive and defensive play, and it makes sense for both teams, and that's kind of the ideal. But boy, I think the Hawks ran away for what they needed and for what they were trying to do. Yeah. That's a huge win for them. So I'm going to go. I still think 31 goals from Ryan Donato is.
Yeah.
Way unexpected.
Yeah, that was...
So that's going to be my number 1. I'm going to put the Seth Jones trade 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put Nazar in his second half 3rd and Ilya Mikheyev 4th. Because if you look back in Mikheyev's history, you see some signs of like, all right, dude can score a little bit. The speed is there. He had an ACL injury, so you weren't sure exactly how that would heal, but didn't seem to miss much there. So I would say... Not taking anything away from him, ranking at 4th, but really, really solid debut season in Chicago for Ilya Mikheyev. And I think, as we start to look down the road of like who makes sense long-term, who doesn't, that's a name maybe on that list. So we'll see. We'll see how he responds next year. Same with Donato. Hopefully
with Donato. That'd be nice. Yeah.
Hopefully he's still here. All right, let's go to the biggest disappointment. I feel like this one has sort of fewer nominations and surprises. I think the obvious one for most people is Philip Kurashev, who came off a 50-plus point season and just really was not able to stay in the lineup. When he was in the lineup, was not really contributing very much. I think he finished the season on a decent note, but it might be too little, too late for Kurashev.
I mean, he was in the lineup because you had an injury to Colton Dock. Yeah. You had Pat Maroon retiring, so some spots opened up at the end of the year there. I think as far as drop off in production, Kurashev for sure is in there. You have to throw Lucas Reichel in there as well for the same
definitely
expectations and what you hoped to get out of him and what he did produce. And I would say there were still moments for Reichel where you were like, there were moments, and small stretches of time where you were satisfied and hoping to see that would continue. But yeah, with Kurashev, it really just felt like even the bright spots for him were so few and far between that, he really seemed like a guy that went from, hey, maybe he is a depth piece at 25 years old that you invest into. I can't imagine that they're going to invest much more time in him, knowing what is coming in the system.
Yeah. I mean, to the Reichel thing too, if you told me, if we knew before the season, he's going to play the entire season in Chicago, he's going to play 70 games and have 8 goals.
I would have been
That would have been shocking.
Yeah, I would be shocked by that.
And that's the reality. 8 goals, 14 assists, 22 points in 70 games for Lucas Reichel. And if we're going
career high,
as we added the trade, I also want to add the Winter Classic performance was
100%
effing abysmal. And the atmosphere was great. Everything leading up to it was great. The energy in the building was great. And the game sucked to high heaven for one of the two teams.
Yeah, and it was immediate. It was immediate that we were like, oh, this game is going to suck, because it was, 6 minutes in, they were down 2-0.
Yeah.
The first goal was 2 minutes into the game.
And you could tell Peter Mrazek just could not see the puck at all.
Yeah, right. I mean, the elements of the game, they play a factor, but, from talking with Alex Vlasic about, the lead up to that game, and it seemed like the team was excited, feeling it, ready to go, and just came out absolutely flat. And Nick Foligno's talked about in his exit interview, said that he's still, or was it him or Murphy? I can't remember.
I think it was Murphy.
Murphy, yeah,
it was
you're
Murphy.
right, Murphy.
Yep.
Murphy was saying that he still can't get over how that game went and how that experience went. And then you got Davidson, in the locker room after the game, calling out the team.
Yeah, going down there, yeah.
Just, yeah.
And then even us being in there after, it was, as soon as you walked in the room, it was like, oh, God.
Yeah,
Taylor Hall
deflating.
was
Taylor
the
Hall
first
was
guy there.
Crying, basically.
Yeah, it was awful. I mean,
rough.
Yeah, Taylor Hall actually was one of the Hawks that showed up for the Winter
scored.
Classic. And I know, these have become, another Winter Classic, but
especially for Chicago.
There's
but
only
yeah.
a couple teams a year that get to do it, and then for a lot of these guys, it's a once in a lifetime thing. And to lay that big of an egg on that big of a stage and that historic of a venue, that sucks, and that's going to hang with those guys for a while. So I'm actually going to put the Winter Classic performance as the biggest disappointment.
Yeah,
Kurashev, Reichel. That's my order. Are we missing anything?
I mean, it seems like there'd be a lot more in a season where you
I
look
just think
at
there's some obvious ones. You can maybe
player,
build arguments, right?
Moment, grand scheme, and grand scheme. This whole season was a big disappointment based off of the foundation that was laid.
I mean, the game in Utah,
was
brutal. That start was awful.
Which one? The season opener,
season
or
opener.
the game where they gave up 93 shot attempts?
Oh God, I think that's where I snapped. That was the point of the season where I think I lost my mind the most.
You know what's crazy though? After that game,
that was a turning point.
It started to get a little bit better as the season ended. But yeah, I mean, I think going back to where this season was supposed to go and what the expectation was, the whole thing was a disappointment. There were peaks, but way more valleys than I think anyone was expecting.
Yeah, it was supposed to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the season we imagined would look like the Utah game on.
Yeah.
Where, you're still losing more than you win, but you're seeing signs of growth. You're seeing signs of development. Young guys are making an impact, and it took until that, what was that, March?
It was
right after the deadline, like March 7th or 8th.
Was it pre-trade deadline?
The Utah game wasn't the
Utah
that was right
game
before the Jones trade.
Yeah, wasn't the Utah game
that was Jones' last game?
The Jones saying we're the same team.
Yeah.
So
I believe that was his last game as a Hawk.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All
right, more of these fun things to come. Most of them are positive.
There is
promise.
more fun coming.
They're not. I don't think we have many more negative ones, so they'll be more positive. We'll have some happy memories.
Yeah.
Do us a favor, hit that like button if you've not done it already, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page as well. We are powered by Bet365. And I am occasionally powered by my friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, but not when I'm working. It's your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where rookies, veterans, and everything in between can go in there and find exactly what they're looking for and find high-quality products. They have everything you need to elevate your summer, which is close. It's coming. The last couple days have felt summery. I'm here for it. Let's go elevate your summer at Sunnyside. They're your one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. If you're just starting out, Sunnyside has that expert guidance and the brands we know you'll love, like my two personal favorites that just so happen to be in the copy, Good News and Mindy's. The Good News counting sheep, I don't know what I'd do without them. They're the best. And we know you'll love Cresco and FloraCal's incredible quality and consistent products. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. That's an insane deal. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
And just like your favorite team needs a home court, home field, or home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage. And our friends at Empire Today can help you get that advantage. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals with focus only on flooring every single day. Their lives are consumed by flooring. They cannot stress how much they care about floors. When they go to a party, sometimes you have the people who hover around the chips and dip. Me. Some people who hover, if there's a dog there, they're like, I don't really know too many people here, but I like dogs. That'll be fun.
Yep.
The people at Empire, when they go to house parties, they are infatuated with the floors. And usually, if they weren't done by Empire, they go around and tell everybody, hey, we can fix that, we can upgrade that, this is how this would look. And by the end of the party, before they're asked to leave politely, because all they've talked about is flooring, they leave their business card and say, give me a call. And the host eventually calls, and their floors are better. That is a kind of true story. We've all been to those big box stores. You wander endlessly through the aisles, and somehow you are the one hauling all the materials home, looking for an installer, and coordinating everything yourself. But with Empire Today, they bring the floors to you. That's right. All those samples, you can have them in your home, and you can see how it works with your furniture, your wallpaper, your color scheme, all that stuff. You can have the floors there and see how it fits in your space, and you can get the precise measurements taken, and all the questions can be answered right there. You don't even have to leave your couch. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can get a $350 discount when using the promo code CHGO. That's right, a $350 discount with the code CHGO. Restrictions do apply. You can visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details.
All right, back to our list we go. Next up, we have the best free agent signing. So we've got Teuvo Teravainen, we've got Tyler Bertuzzi, we've got Laurent Brossoit, we've got TJ Brody, we've got Pat Maroon, we've got Alec Martinez.
And Craig Smith.
Also, Craig Smith was there.
And
he was
also
like the
Craig
most
Smith.
Uneventful Hawkeye. And he was fine. He did exactly what you thought, but it was like, oh yeah. I will quickly forget the Craig Smith era.
He's a guy who clocked in, clocked out, did exactly what he was supposed to do, and got traded for exactly what you would have expected. I mean, honestly, as far as expectations go, Craig Smith might have nailed it.
He really did do exactly what they hoped he would do. To a T.
Yeah. Best free agent signing, I think it wasn't the linear path to getting there, but at the end of the season, you got exactly what you expected out of Teuvo Teravainen this year. And I think that probably had the biggest impact with this group as a whole. I think, you get to, the end of the season, he's top 3 in scoring. He played on your power play. He had penalty kill opportunities. He played in your top 6. He was able to just play around the lineup, mesh well with different guys. I think he did exactly what you were hoping to get out of him. And, through the first 30 games, it was really streaky up and down. And then it kind of settled in from there. And, you got the table you expected. I just think for him, especially at, towards the end of the season, talking in the locker room when he would, and then at the end of the year, media availability, you could tell this season was hard for him.
It's the first time he's lost in his life.
First time he's not been in the playoffs
in the NHL?
In his NHL career. And that he's had a season like that. So, like, to do that now at 30 years old after basically, your rookie year, you win a cup. And then, then you're.
This is easy.
Yeah, and then you're you're Chicago another year in the playoffs. You go to Carolina. You're getting to second and third rounds consistently. Like, to have this season was really tough on him. So I hope going into next year he can kind of regroup. Get a fresh perspective. Hopefully, the way that this season ended with the young guys coming in provides a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a change of the way the team plays, which I think would benefit him more if the team was a lot faster collectively, and goes into next season with some rejuvenated hope, and you can get more out of what you got from him this year.
I think it's also noteworthy that he does finish third in scoring. He's got 58 points in 82 games, 15 goals, 43 assists, with very little 5-on-5 time with Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
I mean, he was basically the second option for offense. Donato, for the record, I'm not saying Ryan Donato accomplished what he did because he played with Bedard so much. I don't think that's true. I think he generated and created a lot on his own. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Teuvo was still 58 points without really playing with Bedard at all at 5-on-5, that's pretty solid. And Teravainen, only 7 power play goals. Sorry, I thought it was points, but I'm not sure how many points he had. It's not showing me on the stat sheet. But, like, it's not like he just cleaned up with Bedard points on special teams. He was another effective offensive contributor. So you get 82 games from him. You get 82 games and 46 points from Tyler Bertuzzi. And, again, you talk about back of the hockey card. What do you project for Tyler Bertuzzi coming into this year? I don't know, 45, 50 points. That's exactly what you
20
got.
20 goals, and yeah,
you get 46 points, 23 goals, 23 assists, effective on the power play, 10 power play goals for him. Did spend a little more time with Bedard, which they were clicking for. There was like probably a month span where those two were really connected.
Yeah.
But he was solid too. I feel like there were a lot of times where there would be a couple weeks would go by and you'd forget Tyler Bertuzzi was on the team.
Yeah.
Even when Teuvo wasn't putting the puck in the net, he was still doing things to help you win. And I'm sure there were things Bertuzzi was doing too that maybe weren't as noticeable, but I think it's pretty obvious for Teuvo. Now, the other interesting argument is you talk about Pat Maroon and the influence he had, maybe not so much on the ice, and still Pat Maroon gave you 19 points in 68 games. Like, that's pretty damn good considering how much he played. But just setting the tone for the young players, taking Lucas Reichel under his wing, helping him, become a bit of a pro. And there was a little bit of a lapse at the end of the year with that where he overslept. But I think just young guys seeing how a guy like Pat Maroon goes about his day to day, I think that signing pretty much accomplished exactly what you wanted it to as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in that regard, for sure, he was a guy that, and a lot of them outside of Bertuzzi and Teravainen, you figured were like, oh, they're flippable. Like Maroon, Smith, those are depth guys playoff teams usually like to see. Alec Martinez, same thing, guy that's been there a lot. And, Maroon and Martinez, obviously we know now they stayed in Chicago. They had, life outside of hockey that was going on, and they also called it a career, so that they weren't the guys that got flipped. They were with the group through the trade deadline and kind of part of that, like, setting of the table for next season. And I feel like that's a little extra boost that you got out of both of those guys to kind of be around. And, the relationships that I think that they were able to kind of build with some of the younger guys. We talked with Alex Vlasic about, his relationship with Martinez and how that made a positive impact. And Reichel with Maroon, Colton Dock said on at least 2 occasions that, Maroon is a guy that he's was trying to learn from and what it takes to kind of be in the NHL and be in that role where you are going to be more of a power forward and a guy who's going to be physical and, put your body out there. So I think that was, big impacts for those guys. And with Bertuzzi, I mean, you at the end of the day, you got there, but he was even more streakier than Teravainen.
Oh, yeah.
So
big time.
I would take how Teravainen got to his end point over Bertuzzi, but I think that's kind of just part of Tyler Bertuzzi.
Just one more little note on the Martinez and Maroon thing. I think this is probably a little bit intangible, but people around the league see the way that those two guys were respected and honored, and they said, we would like to not be traded. We're going through some stuff. You could probably get something for both of us, but if it's all the same, we'd like to stay here, finish our careers here. I think that people around the league, players, agents, etc., around the league see how two of the most respected guys in the game got treated on their way out, and I think that will resonate with people. And maybe it doesn't matter, maybe it does, but it certainly doesn't hurt to see, hey, look at the way the Hawks treat their veteran players, where some other places, you look at what, the way Calvin DeHaan talked about the Rangers, saying, can you believe, and look, Calvin DeHaan is probably in the same boat as Alec Martinez, towards the end of his career, not the defenseman he used to be, probably not worthy of playing every game. I think probably Martinez is a little better than him at this point anyway, but just the way he felt after that was I was completely treated like crap, and it's different. It's one thing to not play. It's another thing to not be told and, that sort of thing. So I think that can go a long way. So I'm going to say, I'm pretty much going to go chalk. I'm going to go Teuvo, Bertuzzi, and then I'm going to call Maroon and Martinez one. Calling that one free agent signing for the sake of, because they both basically accomplished the same thing.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that one.
All right, this one will be quick. Worst free agent signing. I think there's two candidates. There's TJ Brody and there's Laurent Brossoit.
How do you weigh either signing and not playing or signing and being a detriment when playing?
Here's how. No one wanted TJ Brody. Everyone knew when the deal was signed, it didn't make any sense, especially the second year on the deal. I said after the first game in Utah, go back and find the post-game show. It might have been the first segment. TJ Brody's going to get bought out. And that is going to happen this summer.
Yeah.
Laurent Brossoit, at the time, was a sound signing. Remember, he got hurt after the signing. So it's not like you brought this guy in who was completely injury plagued and it was a, it was a gamble. It was a little bit, but not a huge one. I think there's no brainer that it's TJ Brody. Signing.
It was, I agree. It is also, I also am going to say TJ Brody. And it's tough because he's in a boat like Calvin DeHaan.
Yeah.
And could have easily have,
I'm in a boat.
Said some of the same things. Could potentially feel some of those same things too. Just I kind of frustrated. No one wants to sit.
No
one wants to just, be a hanger on to a team. You want to play. And, especially the way that at the end of the year, he's getting scratched. All these young guys are coming up and everyone's excited to talk about it. And there's definitely reason to feel negative about that. But, he was at morning skates, all the optional ones. He didn't seem to, ruffle any feathers or anything like that. And, not that many of us were putting a microphone in his face at all, but I think, it was a gamble because when you had Alec Martinez, you figured there's your veteran defenseman to throw into the group. And then it was, here's also TJ Brody for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
And it just,
a year. Okay.
Right. If it was just 1 year and
fine.
that's how it goes, that's fine. But yeah, now you're at a spot where you got to buy out a guy and, who knows what is next for him. But yeah, as far as results based, I would definitely say Brody, because with Brossoit, there's still the what if or what could be factor.
Yeah, he still could be a factor
because he's got a year left, and it's not that, like you said, he didn't come in with a known injury history and it was here we go. If Mrazek was the guy that they signed and then was hurt and gone all year, you'd be like, okay, we knew that this was going to happen. But with Brossoit was just, he still could play this next upcoming season. If nothing happens in the offseason, he still could play and come in and win, a starter or backup role. Like it's not to say that, you're locked in with Spencer Knight as the starter and, you definitely are signing Arvid Soderblom and he's coming back as a backup. Like there's nothing to say that is set in stone.
I mean, you could realistically have a rotation next year of Knight and Brossoit and Comesso and Soderblom. That could be your 1 through 4 organizationally, and that's
you could. I wonder.
That's like top of the league. I mean, you don't have like
I wonder what
Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah,
but
you have his backup though.
You've got 3 guys you believe in at the NHL level.
Yeah,
and one you believe will get there, and Drew Comesso. And by the way, if you missed it, Monday we talked to Drew Comesso on the show. Go back and check that out. All right, we got to hit the break zone. Bunch of more categories to come. Make sure you hit that like button for us if you've not already, and hit that subscribe while you're over there. You're just hovering right over it. You might as well just slide over a little bit and click that as well. We'll be back with more on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, powered by Bet365. And whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code CHGO365. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. With the Bet365 NHL early payout offer, you're a winner if your team gains a 3-goal lead with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. That would have come in handy a few times during these playoffs.
Yes.
Download the app and use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. When you do that, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet 5, win or lose. So again, sign up, use the code CHGO365, deposit $10, place a bet for 5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. And those bonus bets, they can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. In-app only.
And if you didn't know, I'll let you know, light beer has just gotten better. Introducing Sam Adams American Light, the crisp, clean, and super easy to drink light beer that has no gimmicks and no fluff. You never want foam in your beer is fine. Fluff in your beer is not good.
Actually, marshmallow fluff might not be bad. Never mind. My mind's wandering.
You can try it at home if you want, and you can try it with Sam Adams American Light. It's not your average light beer. It is brewed with 100% American-sourced ingredients from local independent farmers. It is light beer that is made the right way as spring arrives and the weather starts getting warmer. Nothing better than opening up the roof, or the garage door. You can open your garage roof if you want.
Take the roof off.
Yeah. But opening up the garage door, putting a lawn chair right out in the garage and cracking open a Sam Adams American Light and just basking in the weather to come, sunny, 70 degrees. That's just perfect. Perfect time for Sam Adams American Light. It's so good, so smooth that you will want to not only crack another one, but maybe another and another and another, as one Mr. DJ Khaled would say. Light beer just got better. You can grab Sam Adams American Light, available now at select Chicago retailers. Of course, you must be 21 or older, and as always, please drink responsibly.
All right. Next category we have in our 2024-25 Blackhawks Superlatives is the best quote. This one is for us only because no one else cares. But who do we love to talk to in the Hawks locker room? I'm going to disqualify Nick Foligno because I feel like he's on a different level than everybody else. It's like just the obvious answer.
I have a moment for best media scrum.
Okay, let's do it.
No, because it involves Nick Foligno and someone else.
Oh yeah.
That was probably the best quote.
Pretty good.
Because of the situation, but
there were some other moments.
There's some other moments.
Will not be spoken of.
I'm going to say...
That's us over a Sam Adams American Light.
Sure, absolutely. I will say honestly, the best quote, the guy I enjoyed hearing from the most this season was Frank Nazar.
Yeah.
I feel like I think it's a combination of, one, his personality, his confidence, the way he was reading the game, the way and the way that he was, reading the situation and the way that the team was developing, with the young guys around, he's going to be a guy that I feel like is going to be a player resource for this group moving forward for the media purposes, because I feel like he's got a great head on his shoulders for, explaining, going into detail, and is also like just like a good engaging guy. Look at, when he at the shootout in Montreal, the story, just the way he told like what happened.
Yeah.
Like that was just fun. So like he's just got a great mix of like a really good personality and also like a good mind for the game and a good way to like describe it and put it out for us in the media and for our fans to kind of digest and understand what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think it shows that you can talk to the media, not have to be so incredibly guarded, and still not do anything that's going to like toss a teammate under the bus or anything. Like it's very rare, at least in our experience with the Chicago Blackhawks beat. I think there's certain markets that are looking for a story. They're looking to make news or looking for a quote that's going to upset people or it's going to pull headlines.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very fair beat in Chicago. If players are not playing well, they'll be asked about it.
Yeah.
If they're playing well. If not, it's an ordinary day, whatever it might be. It doesn't always have to be so guarded, and Frank Nazar illustrates that really well. And I know we're a little bit biased because we get to talk to him several times a year, but Alex Vlasic is always thoughtful in his answers.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's never a dismissal or just, I'm going to give the easy answer here. I'm going to just talk in circles and cliches. Even if he maybe doesn't love the question he's being answered, he's going to give it some thought, give it some time. Even the silly stuff we ask him, he'll kind of say, well, let me think about that a little bit. And he gives you a solid answer. And we've had that experience with him for years now. We talked to him after his, you wouldn't even call it his rookie year, like his half year,
his first 2 weeks.
And
basically.
He came out and was like, it's weird to be here because I'm this rookie and there's Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane and it's overwhelming and scary. And like, he wasn't ripping those guys, but just talking about the reality of being a young player around legends like that. And he's always been really thoughtful in his comments and you ask him something specific, he'll give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I also do want to say the same, even though he's gone, about Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall was also really into talking about the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would ask him something about strategy or systems or something else going on in the league, he always had thoughts about it. Taylor Hall is passionate about hockey.
Yeah.
That's a guy I could see potentially broadcasting when his career is over, or maybe even more so like a front office, like a Brian Campbell sort of a thing.
Maybe.
For Taylor Hall. Like that's a dude who loves the minutia of hockey.
Yeah.
Loves talking about it, loves breaking it down. So I want to give special praise to Taylor Hall because he was always, when he was available, a great quote. So
for sure.
I'm with you though. I think Nazar, and I hope it doesn't dial down next year. I hope he stays the way he is. But I'll say Nazar, Vlasic, and then Taylor Hall.
Connor Murphy's another guy too.
Yeah.
That if he will give thoughtful answers, he'll give you some really good, good information, good insight for sure. I will say, for as little as he would say, I understand when the players when they talk about being around Artem Levshinov and how infectious his energy can be.
Yeah,
I get it because
it's not
whenever he would talk. He's 19.
Yeah.
English is not his first language, but you know what he is trying to convey. You know that there's a lot there for him. But yeah, it's just, he'll get there. I'm sure. I'm sure as he gets more comfortable with everything, he'll be able to express all that, with words. But like the energy when he would speak, like it was good stuff to be around. I can see why when players are like, he's super engaging, they love being around him. You know exactly what they're talking about.
He's just funny. He just I don't know. He's got that Brzgalov energy.
Yeah, definitely.
Where it's not the end of the world, man. We're playing hockey here.
Yeah.
I really like him. I think the city's going to fall in love with him in short time. All right, on that category, let's go to our next one. Best defenseman. Seth Jones.
Sure.
Just to infuriate people.
Man, I mean, it's
Is it too soon to say Sam Renzel?
Yes. I don't think 9 games out of 82 is enough to say he was
fine
the best. I mean, as far as like body of work and responsibilities and success, I think you kind of have to go with Alex Vlasic. But it's mostly just because he played the most in the most situations. I think if we were doing most surprising amongst defensemen, probably Renzel. But if I'm going to say it's too small of a sample size for him to be all year, I would actually go with Wyatt Kaiser.
Wyatt Kaiser was
he had
a plus defenseman.
Yeah.
No, he was even.
You might as well
games.
be a plus.
Yes.
With this group. I mean, he got better as the year went on. He went down to Rockford, came back and improved, and then, was in a position in the second half of the season where it was just like, you just were like, man, I don't think you want to take him out of the lineup. He would go out, but he'd come back in and you'd be like, yeah, that's why you didn't take him out of the lineup. Like he really improved. He got really effective. And for me personally, like, I feel like he wedged himself into that discussion of like when you talk about the future top 6 and, it's Vlasic, Renzel, Korchinski, Levshina, all these guys. Kaiser's got a strong hold in that group.
Well, the biggest thing for him was to narrow the gaps between good and bad. And that's why we saw the ups and downs, because he would have 2 weeks of brilliance followed by 2 weeks of the dumps, and there was kind of no in between. That last call up, it looked like he was never looking back. And he was consistently solid every night. I struggle to find who or what he is. I've been thinking a lot about, like, is he Trevor Van Riemsdyk? Is that like kind of a decent puck mover, but never huge numbers, solid defensively, but not huge or physically imposing, just kind of in the right spot at the right time, moves the puck well enough, but not a guy that's going to be a power play quarterback. Like,
seems like that kind of guy,
like a 5 or 6 on a really good team.
Yeah. Seems like that kind of guy with a little bit more, just like bite on the ice than Riemsdyk does.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. So I'll say best defenseman. I'm going to grade on a curve here, because if I'm saying who's the guy I trust the most on the team right now, it's Alex Vlasic. But I think Connor Murphy had a pretty phenomenal season, all things considered. And it's a guy who throughout the years has not gotten enough love here for what he puts his body through.
Right.
Connor Murphy played 68 games this year, had 19 points. He was a -2 in 68 games, and that's a dude who's getting top matchups a lot of the time, having to shut down the opponent's best or second best lines. He's a guy who has battled physical ailments for the recent years.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to him. I think Alex Vlasic is a better defenseman.
Yeah.
But I think the way Connor Murphy elevated his game this year, when he could have been pouty pants like some other guys on this team were, and said, I don't want this. I'm tired of losing, yada, yada. I want out. He didn't. He showed up every game he was physically capable of showing up for. And I will say, too, when Seth Jones left, started to add a little bit of the offensive game, like took it upon himself to get more pucks on net, try to be more offensive-minded. I really like Connor Murphy. I assume next year is probably his last. I would assume he's a deadline move.
Could be.
But that's a guy who gave everything he had to this organization and deserves some credit. And I thought he had a really nice season last year.
Third most time on ice per game this year of any player that played at least half the year. Seth Jones led the team 24.5. Alex Vlasic was second, 23-16, 20 minutes and 37 seconds per game for Connor Murphy. Second on the team in hits, 117. Nick Foligno had a even 200. Led the team in block shots, 160. So yeah, I mean, he is a physical guy, and as much as we compare him with the guy he was traded for, Nick Hjalmarsson, like similar. He plays like Nick Hjalmarsson did. It's just he's not playing on a team that had the same kind of success. So Yeah, I mean, Murphy is one of those guys. I mean, he's dealing with he's played through and has dealt with an injury that just ended Logan Couture's career.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think when his time here is done, whether it's at the end of next year or at the deadline next year or whatever, or if it's, a few seasons from now, hopefully there is an opportunity to like give him some flowers of like not being forgotten to these years of the Blackhawks.
Yeah. All right, we got to hit the break zone one more time. Please hit that like button for us. You got to get that number up, up, up. Keep it going. Hit that number, and if you do, the Bears will draft the person you want them to draft.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And we want to tell you about our friends at Game Time. And, you go through the Game Time copy, and it says, go find a game that you think people might like. How about Phillies at Cubs? Friday. $7. $7 American dollars to go see the Cubs and Phillies at Wrigley Field on a Friday afternoon. What are we doing? I mean,
that's a good question.
Go. Download that Game Time app and go. And you're going to get a view from your seat. So if that $7 ticket happens to be directly behind a load-bearing pole, you'll know. You're not going to get there and be like, that's why it was $7.
That's
exactly.
why.
You're not sitting on the goose nest. That's so with the view from your seat, that's what you're going to get. They've got Game Time Picks, which filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. We love it. It is my first move whenever I'm buying tickets to anything. They've got their all-in pricing, so you toggle that feature, and you'll see the total upfront. No surprise fees at checkout, and they've got their low price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find it cheaper somewhere else, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Sarah?
Game Time who?
Nice.
Perfect. And if you're like me, you are not a big fan of spring for the cleaning aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
Every year there's you get the sprays and the bucket and the mop, and you say, all right, time to clean every aspect of the house. The fun spring cleaning is going on at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake, where you can go and get fresh savings during their spring clearance sales event. Like 0% financing for 60 months, $0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0 hidden fees on select new Chevy models. You can check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 as well. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you, and as one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you're always getting a great deal. And with Ray's Price Promise, you can shop confidently because you get a guarantee of no add-ons, no hidden fees, and no gimmicks. The price you see and hear is the price that you pay. You don't have to worry about any price changing, any stressful negotiations, or any tricks. The people at Ray Chevrolet just want to help you get into the right vehicle at the right price. So go see for yourself. Visit our partners at their convenient location on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out on their spring clearance sales event going on all month long for 0% financing on select new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or go to raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. As it says right here, together, let's drive.
You're good at that. I have to very much measure my pointing. I don't know why my brain doesn't work that way.
5 years of broadcast school will do to you.
There you go. All right, we got to rifle through our last few categories here. We just did best defenseman. How about best forward?
I mean, Connor Bedard led the team in scoring.
Yep.
Hit 20 goals.
Yep. 23 to be precise.
Bust.
Yes, super bust.
Sarah speaking for the chat.
I'm gonna say best. I'm gonna say Bedard is best forward. It's the easiest answer, but there were definitely more. There are other options besides him, but I still think he's the clear answer.
Probably, but for the sake of conversation, I'm gonna say Ryan Donato because that dude scores 31 goals, many of which were just willed by his gusto,
effort.
I'll take that. And it felt like Ryan Donato had a knack for scoring big goals at big times, like when they really needed them. So I will give it to Ryan Donato. 3 game-winning goals for him, 5 for Bedard. Overtime goal for Bedard, too. So that's probably the correct answer. But Ryan Donato will get my vote for top forward because of the way he did it.
Yeah. You throw in Tavo as well.
Yeah.
I'd also say Frank Nazar. I think based off of the impact he had, it was undeniable. His work on the penalty kill was incredible in the second half of the year. The speed that he brings is going to be a difference maker. So Donato's really good. So I'd go Donato or Bedard, Donato, and Nazar, and also leave an honorable mention for Tavo.
Yeah, I mean, Nazar became a guy quickly that other teams had to start preparing for.
Yeah.
And even with 31 goals, I'm not sure they feel that way about Ryan Donato. You've got to know where he is. You got to know what he's capable of. But I don't think he's one of those guys where you're like, we cannot lose sight of number 8. I think there's 2 guys on the Blackhawks right now. It's Bedard and it's Nazar that check that box of where is he?
Yeah.
I need to know where this guy is all the time or we're screwed. And hopefully they're able to add 1 or 2 more of those this offseason.
That'd be
and
nice.
Then you get the natural progression of Bedard and Nazar next year, and you start talking about a Utah/Anaheim type season next year, which would be great. Conveniently, speaking of Frank Nazar, next category, Rookie of the Year.
Again, I'm going to say Nazar. Artem Levshinov had some really good moments as well. Throw Rinzel in there because there's a bunch of rookies this year that came in, but Rinzel, as far as hitting the NHL ice and raising expectations, which were already starting to go on the upswing, as soon as he hit the NHL ice, it was just like, whoa, like you heard about it, maybe you paid attention to what he was doing at Minnesota, and just the way that his game had grown, and then you see it at the NHL level.
Yeah.
And maybe he's riding high coming in, as a rookie, young guy, all that stuff. But, if that is even a sliver of what he can do, you're going to have a really special guy on the Blackhawks are on their hands for the defensive group. And I know Frank Saravalli was the guy that said he doesn't expect Rinzel to need AHL time. If that's the case, wonderful.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Nazar has to win it just because of the body of work. But like Rinzel is closely becoming untouchable for me. Like really, I know it's 9 games, but it's not just that. It's also the people that have been watching him all along, the people that really pay attention to what's happening in the college game and through the Hawks system have all been raving about him. And he's still got room, like physical growth to come.
Yeah.
Like he is 6'4", 177. When he's fully realized, I'll bet he's playing at like 205, something like that. 6'4"?
Yeah, he seems more of a naturally slender guy. But he said at the end of the season presser, like, my goal this year is to put on some more weight and everything, and hopefully he does it does it the right way, which I'm sure he will. But
Kenny Powers, old school juicing his ass up.
Yeah, he's going to be a guy that in a few years is going to firm up, as Anders Sorensen would say, and he's going to be a really, like, he went from a guy that you're like, yeah, maybe he's your number 4, maybe an offensive specialist guy, to like he's legitimately in the conversation of like maybe a top pair guy moving forward. So they Blackhawks have a special guy on their hands for sure. I'm still going to say number 1 is Nazar. I'm going to say number 2 for me is Rinzel, and then I'll put Levshinov as number 3. Sorry,
I had a cough.
Hit the cough button. That's why we have it here.
I'll find it.
Yeah,
someday I'll find it. I agree with that. By the way, Rinzel 6'4", 177. Vlasic, who also I would qualify as lean.
Yeah,
he's 6'6", 217.
Yeah, he's not a linebacker.
Yeah, but I think getting to 200 pounds for Rinzel is reasonable. I'll help him.
And adding,
Come get Portillo's breakfast with
I
me.
can't imagine being a professional athlete and being like when you're full. And you know what? That could be a marker for him that he'll have to he'll work towards. But I can't, in my mind, be like, okay, in the next 2 years, you are going to add 23 pounds, and it's going to be like functional muscle.
It's tough.
Like, if you told me in 23 or in 2 years you will add 23 more pounds to your frame, I'd be scared. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't need that with my life.
My cousin played football for Oregon and Washington. He was a special teamer. And they wanted him to put on weight in the off season, and he said it was the most miserable summer of his life. Like he had to get like 4 milkshakes a day. I'm like, that sounds great. He's like, it sounds great until you have to consume 4 milkshakes a day.
Yeah, and
on top of like regular meals that are carby and
I forget who did the story, but I think it was last year. There was someone in from the Athletic talked to an NHL player about that like process, and they're like, you're constantly just throwing like calories into your body. Like when you have to like eat before you go to sleep, because if you sleep for 8 hours or whatever overnight, your body's just going to burn that stuff. So you have to bloat it because it's going to burn it, but you can't let it burn too much. It's nuts. And then they're high level athletes, so their workouts are burning way more calories than the average person. It's nuts the things that they have to do. It's not just going to the gym and throwing up as much weight as you can. It's consuming as many calories as possible, and as well as hitting the gym hard.
I can confirm that eating right before you go to bed helps you put on weight.
It does.
See,
yes,
Jay Zawatsky in college.
Especially,
I just put a burrito away. Good night, everybody.
The professional recommendation is, eat and give yourself 2 hours or something before laying down and going to bed. The amount of times that I have laid down on the couch and ate simultaneously as I fell asleep I would shock my doctors.
Pizza hanging out of your mouth.
Yeah, pizza until you fall asleep, I believe is the Mike Birbiglia bit.
All right, last category we have is MVP for the Blackhawks. We did best defenseman. We did best forward. Who do you have as the Hawks MVP?
Man, it's really easy to say Connor Bedard, best player, highest point scorer. He is the most important player on the team for sure. He's going to get my vote because I would feel silly saying otherwise. But I would say there's definitely some case for guys that brought value outside of like just production, because I think it's excitement for the future. And Bedard obviously is the future. He is the top guy for the future.
Right.
But as I look at it, and we've mentioned him a bunch, my second place vote is going to be Frank Nazar, because of what he did this year, how he finished the year, the style of play that he played with, the speed, all the skills that he brings to the lineup, and the way that he plays, the energy he seemed to inject in the group, and the kind of player that I think he'll be for this group moving forward. Like I would be surprised if, a few years down the road, he's not part of the leadership group. He's going to be a fan favorite. He's going to be a guy that, this team probably, a lot of their success or failure will hinge on his shoulders. And I think he really took a big step in half of a season. So I'm going to give my runner-up vote to Nazar. The MVP is Bedard.
I like that. I agree with you on Bedard. Kind of on the same track as you are with Nazar. I'd also like to mention Spencer Knight. I feel like that was a vibe shift for the team too.
100%.
And I think about this a lot in Chicago sports. Like, the first impression is so important.
Yes.
And I will never forget, John Lester's first start as a Cub was not great. And it took people some because you're so excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had a not great first start, and it was fine after that, but it took time for fans to build trust because the first impression was so bad.
Right.
Spencer Knight's first impression in Chicago and with his teammates was unbelievable. It was one of the best goalie performances of the year. And then just the way he carries himself, you can tell that the guys in that room look up to him like he's a 10-year veteran. He is got this incredible maturity about him. And I think we've talked about it a lot, and especially when we look back to last season, 2 seasons ago, 2023-24, what a trusted goalie can do for a room and can do for a roster is crazy. And I'm not saying the guys didn't trust Arvid Soderblom. I'm not. I think they did, because Soderblom had a really good year too. But Spencer Knight's a different kind of dude and a different kind of prospect than Soderblom. And seeing the way that he performed more often than not for the Hawks is such a boost for this team. It's something that no one really foresaw. And when Kyle Davidson was asked about it, like, were you trying to get a goalie? He's like, no, but Florida said Spencer Knight. I was like, okay.
Yeah, right,
you know, like it made sense in the moment because it was that guy specifically. And I think when this thing gets to where we hope it's going to get, he's going to be a huge part of it. I think Spencer Knight is their franchise goalie for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And I think if they win a Stanley Cup, he will be the goalie to help them do it. So maybe that's not MVP worthy, but I certainly think it's honorable mention worthy.
Yeah.
So I will say Bedard and give a little special asterisk to Spencer Knight, who I think was great. Before we go, NFL draft tonight. Don't miss our Bears coverage. It's going to be outstanding. Our Die Hard sale is still going on. $36 for the entire year. And yes, you still get your free CHGO shirt or hat, a $35 value when you sign up. So basically, you're getting a free shirt and a $1 membership to be a Die Hard. So take advantage of that while it's still active. Go to allchgo.com, navigate over to the Die Hard tab to join. We'd love to have you as part of things. And look, we got to catch up. We are behind Dallas. We are behind Philly. This is unacceptable. We cannot do this. Make sure, become a Die Hard today. You'll get access to Mailbag Monday. You'll have first dibs on questions in our Discord. We're going to do that every Monday during the off season, so you don't want to miss that. 20% off all of our events, takeovers, watch parties, draft parties like we have coming up this weekend at 115 Bourbon Street. Like, so much going on. Don't miss it. Allchgo.com. Navigate over to that Die Hard tab to join, and we'd love to have you. Or just scan that QR code that's on your screen right now. Okay, we're going to wrap things up. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 2 o'clock right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, powered by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.